Let's get more now on the apprenticeship incentives announced today. We are joined by the Executive Director of the Apprenticeship Employment Network, Gary Workman. Gary, thank you so much for your time. The Prime Minister, the slogan for Labor is building Australia's future in the lead up to this election. Housing is obviously a priority for Labor. To what extent can we tie the current housing crisis to apprenticeship numbers?
Look, I think that's a really good question, Ruby. The skill shortages have been a problem in Australia for a long time, not just the construction sector, but all over the place. And I think COVID highlighted some of those really, critical shortages that we have in things like health and retail and building construction. This announcement today is a really good step. It's not going to solve our problem in the short term. This was a pre-election promise, but I think long term, if we can provide more incentives and more reasons for young people to look at trade apprenticeships and other pathways outside of university, that will help with our skill shortages. But again, it's something that we've got to consistently do over the next 4 to 5 years.
What do you think about how this $10,000 incentive has been structured, the 5 $2,000 instalments over the duration of an apprenticeship? Do you think that will nudge up completion rates and encourage people to stay on in their apprenticeships?
I think that's one of the reasons it was designed that way. So completion rates have always hovered around 55%, and the cost for a young person is always an issue when you're doing an apprenticeship in the first couple of years. So staggering those payments over 5 payments and having a completion payment is a bit of a financial incentive that may sort of attract and keep young people in their trade to get fully qualified.
There is a similar scheme for green jobs apprenticeships that is in place. The take-up hasn't been strong there, though. It's well below what the government was hoping for. Are you optimistic that young tradies-to-be will sign on to this scheme?
I think once we broaden it out to traditional trade areas like plumbing, carpentry, electrical, those numbers and the 60,000 placements that they're sort of estimating, I think they'll be certainly well taken up. With the clean energy, there was quite a narrow field of qualifications that were eligible, and a lot of those projects and programs are usually short-term in the construction phases, but they're also not traditional apprenticeship pathways historically. So the numbers were lower in that, and again, I think this is a step in the right direction, broadening it to all construction sectors.
For established tradies in Australia, if you're running your own business, for example, there is good money to be made, but what are wages like for apprentices and people just starting out in the industry?
Look, I think our system was designed, to attract young people leaving secondary school or very early in their age progression in their career, like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And the wages in our IR system were designed to reflect that. In reality today, the average age of a starting apprentice is 22, 23 years of age, and for female apprentices, it's even a lot older. So they've got higher expenses, living costs, they've got more responsibilities when they're that age. So the wage incentives to help sort of understand and reflect those changes in the economy today, I think is a good step.
This cash bonus announced today is limited to residential construction. We know there are other adjacent trades crucial to housing in a more indirect way, roads, rail, sewage. Would you like to see the scope of this widened to include more industry?
You're spot on. We think all skill shortage industries should be able to attract a wage subsidy for even things like traineeships, business administration, health and care sector, the IT sector. It's not just construction that's struggling with skill shortages and issues with future workforce needs. So I think the same conditions in the other sectors in terms of attracting young people and giving them a head start with their career and supporting their wages is important. So that's something we'll be pushing going forward up to the election.
I wanted to ask you, Gary, just about attitudes towards trades more generally. I mean, traditionally, young people have been told to aim for university. Do you think that we are seeing a shift in attitude and a renewed appreciation for the value of tradespeople in our workforce?
I think certainly since COVID, I think that's certainly been in the media a lot more, and young people are questioning, what am I going to do for the next few years? I'd certainly like to see our secondary school systems provide more opportunity for young people to try careers and get real life work experience before they have to make a 4-year commitment to something, whether that's university or an apprenticeship. I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing really low completion rates in everything our youth does. I think they have a very narrow view of what the career pathways are, what does the job really look like. And I think we've got to spend more time giving young people an opportunity to explore that before they have to make a decision.
Gary Workman, Executive Director of the Apprenticeship Employment Network. Great to hear your thoughts. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your time, Ruby.